Hello, everybody. My name is Bill. Welcome back to the NCAA Football 07 Dynasty Mode explanation. We are in part 7 of the off-season evaluations for all 119 teams. We are going into Conference USA now, and we are starting with the weaker of the two divisions by a long shot, with the East. And as you can see, the East has no teams that are above 500. We are starting off with the team that represented the East in the Conference USA Championship game, UCF, which they lost that championship game to Tulane 28-21, which was a close game, I'll give them that. But overall, though, I'd say that maybe they could have a better fight, though. Although one of their great being defensive yards, their improvement, though they need to be better on offense, because with a 6-7 record, yes, their best win asset came in Week 11 against UAB, 24-17. But their worst loss came in Week 8, and you're going to hear that week a lot in this. I will say that 4 of the 6 teams here have something involving Week 8 at Tulsa when they got shut out 37-0. So they need better offense, better red zone defense, and they just need to force turnovers, Like, that's one reason why their offense was so terrible, is the fact they couldn't force any turnovers. Hal Jordan just needs to work on that a bit. I say USCF has a good little run going, but I'm surprised how well they did with an offense that was as inept as this one. Like, seriously, I took one look at their offense. I'll show you in here. We're not here to see Alabama just yet. The thing about you, Alabama, at least not for another good couple of weeks. Like, 104th overall, 94th offensive yards, passing wise, 98th, rushing wise, tied for 56, which isn't all that bad, but 22.3 points per game, that ain't gonna win you a lot of games, and I'm surprised they managed to win that many, with all things considered. With all due respect, Golden Knights. Alright, we'll talk to you next time, Tulane. They made it to the championship game based off of defense, which, they do say defense wins championships, but it didn't win you the conference championship. Granted, speaking of defense winning championships, I said for Super Bowl Sunday that the Bucks would win because of their defense. And yeah, their defense showed out alright. But hey, that's pro football. We're talking about college football. Then again, football's football. Only difference is the levels. They had trouble forcing turnovers, so they relied on 3-and-outs for their games, which is something you don't need to be doing all that often. That's why their red zone defense was so terrible. I'd say they need to pick up some aggressiveness and get some more turnovers so they can have a more functional offense next season. Otherwise, they might not get as lucky next year in making the conference championship. And now we go from UCF, a team that's being head coached by a guy that I named from the Green Lantern series, to Southern Miss, a guy that's being head coached by an NFL Hall of Famer, Brett Favre. It was either last game they won against Army 39-34. Or I'll just keep it like this and screw it. They finished the year 5-7, with their best win being in Week 5 against ECU, 31-21, and their worst loss, Week 8, there it is again, against UAB, 45-24. I'd say they got one of their greats is they got a Hall of Fame quarterback as a head coach. Who wouldn't want to be coached by the legendary Brett Favre? I mean, hey, I'd take that opportunity. And they have a decent defense. The improvements, though, they need a better offense and they need to force more turnovers. You're going to hear that a lot in this as well. They just need to force turnovers. It's not, I don't see it's really their fault though, because of the fact that they do try. It's just that sometimes their turnovers they force are either about as equally as many or as less, or even less than the turnovers they give up. My thoughts here is Brett Favre with his alma mater to an okay record. 5-7, I say it's okay. I mean, sometimes the game will let you get into a bowl game with that record. And surprisingly, didn't have him lead the nation in interceptions thrown. Um, the defense is decent though, but the whole team needs to improve a lot. On offense, missing 90 third down conversions doesn't help out your team, and they need work on that. Because how can you be able to be successful if you can't convert on third down? They might make a run next year, but who knows with Favre. Remember, this is the guy who has thrown the most interceptions in NFL history, so I can't fully project how they will do. You know, like they could go up, they could go down. Down, he could just tell his quarterback, hey, just throw it. Somebody down there will catch it. I mean, like, how do you think I won my entire NFL career? But we go from a legendary quarterback in Brett Favre to a pirate in John Blackbeard X. And ECU, who finished the year 6-7, yes, another 6-7 team. And I'd say their best win was Week 13 at UAB when they beat them 30-20, which basically secured their bowl position. Excuse me. I would say their worst loss is, once again, Week 8. What's with Week 8 and worst losses in this? Against my favorite team, Memphis, 35-17. Now, they're great. They got a good rushing game. I'll give them that. They've got a good rushing game. It was like top 50 in the nation, like 4th in the conference. No, I'll give them that. But they just need to improve on passing. And, again, forcing more turnovers. The Pirates are the only team in this division to actually play in a bowl game this year. They lost to UNLV in the Fort Worth Bowl, 38-16, but they were a somewhat reasonable choice to put in there. Like I said, at the time they were 6-6, so, hey, you know. They still have a great rushing game, even with Chris Johnson gone. And a head coach who's starting to get things together, and a team that may be poised for winning soon. They might just make it to another bowl game next year. They have the potential to be able to do it, as they surprised a few people in making it over to championship representative UCF, but I guess they needed a 500 team, and they were at the time. And now, again, my favorite school in all of college football. Some people may be a little surprised by that, but hey, I was born and raised in Memphis, so you know, you can have your Alabamas, you can have your Auburns, you can have your Clemsons, your Ohio State, Michigans, USC's, UCLA's, hey, Louisville's, you know. But with me, I'm a Memphis Tigers fan. I've been a Tigers fan since around like 07, 08 when I was starting to get into football in general. You know what I mean? Sure, I like a couple of the other. I'll still root for like Ohio State or Alabama just for game purposes, you know. But for me, whenever I see the Tigers play, I'm always going to root for them because that's who I am. Because I'm not going to turn down rooting down for my hometown team, you know. And with Memphis, they finished 5-7. Their best win, as they came in Week 10 at UAB 38-31. And their worst loss came in Week 12 against Southern Miss at 27-17. I'd say their great offense, especially passing, and they were gutsy on 4th down. Sometimes you gotta appreciate seeing the guts on 4th down. And I'll explain their stats on that in a minute. They just need to improve on the rushing game, get some good defense, and yet again, force more turnovers. Also, fun fact, this is the first team, like they are one of 2 teams that are on the plus side of points forced. I just want to point that out. The other team is the team beneath them in UAB. UAB is 53 over. Memphis is only 8 over, but still, you know, fun little fact there. I mean, UCF just 1 point under. And they represented this conference in the and they represent division in the championship game. You know, they hopefully this division will get better next year, and it'll be a lot easier to talk about this division. The Tigers have been slowly improving and might be looking for that jump next season. They have a passing attack that's one of the best in this conference, and the guts to go for it on fourth down, doing it 10 times and was successful 9 times. They need to find a back that can help them improve that rushing attack, because I think in this game D'Angelo Williams was a part of the team. He's already gone to the draft at this point. And they also need to force more turnovers, as they need to keep the pressure on the other team. I do hope they have a winning record next season, because I would like to see them in a bowl game the most out of all the other teams here. And out of all the other teams in this game, because like I said, they're my favorite team. I'm not going to deny that. I would have head coached them, but I don't want to leave McNary Central, but I will leave that up to y'all on whether I should go from McNary Central to Memphis, help build Memphis up into a powerhouse themselves. Because, if, these are the teams that are above them, looking at their points allowed and their points forced, could be an easy division to take over. I am the quarterback of the Memphis Tigers in my campus legend mode. I don't really post anything about that because, number one, I hadn't even touched that mode really in the past year or so, because I've been focused on this series. But at the same time, I say that would be a nice little change of scenery. But now we go from Memphis to UAB, head coached by Sam Hunt. Yeah, fun little fact I saw about Sam Hunt: he was a college football quarterback. First for Mid-Tennessee State, which kind of makes sense because Murfreesboro is near Nashville, so I can understand how he get into the whole country music scene. But he graduated from UAB. They finished with a record of 5-7. Their best win is that magical Week 8 when they won against Southern Miss. It's 45-24, and their worst loss came in Week 10 against Memphis, 38-31. I think this is the only repeat matchup here. Here, out of everybody, I'm pretty sure we'll probably get a couple when I do the West, which I might get started on the West after I finish the East. But UAB, their grades was scoring, effective running, and they forced turnovers. Something I say a lot of these other teams need to kind of do. Their improvements, though, is they need to pass more because they had some good running. They just need to get passing to balance that out. Force more quarterback pressures because they were one of the worst teams in the conference when it came to sacks. And the all-important thing is chemistry. It's important on the field, and it's important for science, and it's important for relationships. And I point this out because I'm recording this 45 minutes after Valentine's Day. My thoughts: the Blazers did really well for a one-star school, which I was kind of surprised to see them being a one-star school. And they did it with an effective strategy: run it down their throats and see if you can stop it. They led the conference in scoring at 32.1 points per game. It could have done better if they had better passing attack. They also had a great defense that forced a lot of turnovers, but they need to get more sacks. The issue is they went on a 5-game losing streak to end the season. Sam Hunt has to put some focus into the choices for his receivers in recruiting. Otherwise, his quarterback might be single for the summer. I say for recruiting, he needs to take his time, trying not to get someone who's in the back of a cop car, get some guys that'll be hard to forget, and in the end, hopefully have a house party so that downtown isn't dead. And yes, a few of those phrases and wordings are some of M. Hunt's songs. Although Cop Car is technically a cover of Keith Urban's Cop Car, I enjoyed it nonetheless still. But hey, Sam Hunt is definitely one of my favorite country music artists out there, and I couldn't resist making him the head coach of his alma mater. That's just me. I enjoy his music. I really need to listen to all of his Southside album though. I don't know, maybe I may make that a separate thing on this channel. Me reviewing random country albums. I'll think about that one. But in the meantime, let us finish off this division of sub 500 teams with Marshall, who went 3-9. Their best win was in week 6 against Tulsa. Like Tulsa, I'll show you. They went 10-3. They barely lost to Northern Illinois in their bowl game. But they went 10-3, lost twice in conference play, once to Tulane, 45-42, and they get blown out by Marshall here, 41-14. Their worst loss though was in week 7 at UAB, 35-30, which sparked a 6-game losing streak. Boy, what's with the bottom teams always getting into losing streaks? And that's my question. They got a great passing offense, they got a lot of sacks, and also forced a lot of fumbles. They just need to improve on the rushing attack because, again, you need balance to be effective in the league. Or to be effective in football, especially on offense, because you got to have that rushing to be able to pull off the play action, to be able to pass more effectively, and then you can be able to possibly hit the long passes. I'm no expert at all when it comes to football, because I'm watching it. I may make a few calls myself while laying in a bed or sitting on the couch, like all people do when watching football that are into it. But, that's just the same game. And, like, when the Titans lost to the Ravens, I was upset that the defensive coordinator didn't put a spy up for Lamar Jackson. Like, it's Lamar frickin' Jackson. He's gonna scramble if he can't find his open receiver. But I digress. Playoffs are over. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. I got that right at least. But let's get back to this. Like, they also need to improve on their defense, especially their rushing defense, because they just let everybody run over them. It's basically like the UAB thing, they just let them run all over them. And they also need to keep their morale up. Marshall had a good start to the season. They were 3-3. Well, they were 3-3 heading into their matchup against UAB. Then they lost 6 games in a row and could have been contenders for the bottom 10. And if there weren't so many other terrible teams in this game. Lastly, they need to build up morale for next season. Also get some run stoppers for defense as well. They allowed the conference to run all over them. The only upside this year they had for them if they let the conference in passing was 260.9 yards per game. They need a running back to help balance it out so they can be more effective. I do see improvement with the Thundering Herd, but it's up to head coach Kevin Moss to make sure their team goes as far up as the West Virginia Mountains. Not the Mountaineers, that's too high of a standard for them, but as far up as the West Virginia Mountains. Well, that's going to be it for the East. And now we're heading back to the West. Which, honestly, by the looks of it, it's not really all that far out west. Because one team's in Oklahoma, 4 teams are in Texas, and 1's in New Orleans. But until then, I will see you all next time.